Good afternoon and welcome to our final, although by no means our least interesting session of the afternoon. I think this is going to be a great session for what's been a fabulous day at the EdTech and Education stream or stage. Our final session today is about making sure that we don't leave anyone out of the revolution. We've talked a lot today about the revolution in education and technology that's involved in education. And we're delighted to have with us today Henrietta Fore, who's the Executive Director of UNICEF, but she'll be introduced by our moderator for the afternoon, who is Saran Koly, who's Head of Communications at Equal Measures 2030, and we're a fantastic organization that Saran's involved with, who really are envisioning a world where gender equality is achieved and, you know, everyone's voice is counted. So Saran, I'm going to hand over to you to fully introduce Henrietta and say good luck and have a great session, and I'll see you at the end.
Thank you very much, Phil. So this session is called Not Leaving Anyone Out in the School Revolution. According to UNICEF, 2/3 of the world's school-age children have no internet access at home. And bridging the digital divide has never been more important. So I'm very honored to chat today with the UNICEF Executive Director and Mrs. Henrietta Fore about the Reimagine Education program and plans for bridging a higher quality education to all students. My first question to you is, why is there a need to reimagine education?
Well, Saran, it's wonderful to have a chance to talk to you, and it's such an important subject. So we know that 2/3 of the children who are in low and middle income countries are unable to read and understand a simple paragraph, a simple story by the age of 10. So it means that the quality of education has not been as strong as it needs to be. Our world needs educated young citizens, and so we're failing millions of children. The other thing that we have found is that our numbers are running about 825 million children do not learn in secondary school the skills that they need for a life, thus livelihoods. So it's everything from learning how to read, how to count, learning some sort of a occupational skill so that you can make a livelihood in the future. And Saran, you know the numbers of the developing world. 8 out of 10 of our young people will need to be entrepreneurs. They're not going to have jobs as we do. So we've got to be able to train them in school. They've got to learn it in school.
So the COVID pandemic, during this crisis, millions of children and young people have continued their education online. But even though the potential is existing, these children and young people are in a minority. And the pandemic shone a light on deep divides in equal access to quality learning skills and digital connectivity. So what is UNICEF? How do you think that you can equilibrate this situation, and what can we see? What is the vision for the future?
So you are right that only half of the world is connected. So when the pandemic hit, many, many children could not access learning. It meant that school simply stopped. Education stopped. So if you cannot access learning either by walking down to your school or going to your school, if you cannot access it at home, then you cannot continue learning. So during the pandemic, 2 things happened. The first is that we already had an education quality crisis in the world, and we had the lockdowns of the schools. So children not only missed their learning, but they missed the security of going to school, of having their friends, of all the things you learn in school that are not actually what the teacher teaches you and what the book tells you. But during the pandemic, many governments then tried to make up for it with having ministries of education do programs that were on radio, on television, printing of more books so that there can be printed materials. All of this was important. Distance learning during the pandemic is something that we all need to know how to do. The schools of the future will be technologically more advanced than we are now, but it also means that all of us need to be technologically advanced. So what we need to do as a world is to get every school in the world connected to the internet. We need to get every learner connected, every teacher connected. We need for everyone to be able to access online. And Saran, as you know, this is a particular issue for the poorest countries, and it's a particularly an important issue for girls and for women. So we can't have these digital divides. We can't have these educational divides. We can't have poverty divides. If we were able to use this moment in time to leap the world forward and get every learner connected in the world, that will change the world. It will create a level playing field, and we have a chance as a world to really connect and really educate the young.
Yeah, education is key. And how much do you think that the digital divide has affected marginalized children's education?
Oh, it's enormous. So the digital divide, if you are a child who is in the poorest communities in a poor country, there is no school. You may or may not have a radio at home. You do not have a television. You do not have online connectivity. And what's more, you don't have any devices at home, so you can't connect. So you don't have the connectivity, you don't have a school, and your school often is not operating. So for the most marginalized, the poorest, it's impossible. If you are a refugee or a migrant and you are on the move, it's very difficult because of connectivity and because of leaving behind the schoolhouse that you knew, the curriculum that you knew, often the country that you knew, and a language that you knew. So we have to make up for all of that. And in addition, Saran, we have the issue that with many children dropping out, not everyone's going to go back to school. So we're particularly worried about girls. If 2 boys return to school, there may only be 1 girl returning to school. And that's going to be very difficult for the world. So we have many things we have to catch up on. And one is how to do catch-up curriculums. So if you've been out of school for 1 or 2 years, you are not going to want to go back to be in a classroom with people children who are 2 years younger than you. You know how that is in a classroom. You want to be with your age mates. So we are going to have to figure out catch-up curriculums as a world. We're going to have to figure out these divides in the world, and we're going to have to get more girls and marginalized young people online and back to school.
That's so important that you talked about girls in particular, because even before the pandemic, we know how it was difficult to keep girls in their education. And now, yes, we definitely need to all make all the efforts for them to continue. So what do you think, what kind of digital learning works best to improve learning outcomes?
Well, there are many different kinds that help and that are important. So CogX has been talking about EdTech and job tech. And young people today, we hear their number one request is, I want a modern education and I want to be able to somehow get a job or make a livelihood. So what do we need to do to respond to them? One is we need to get them an education that's quality, and it needs to come either on a cell phone or on a device that they can get at home. So we need, number one, connect every school in the world to the internet. That will allow learners and their families and their teachers to all go to the schoolroom that's in the village. The second is we need to have great online learning education. I really think we are at the beginning of an industry here, Saran. It is going to be an explosion of excellent learning tools, and we're going to have to get them out to the world so that children of every variety and teachers can learn them and can use them. So a library at UNICEF, a library at UNESCO, we're working on a lot of joint things that we can have for the world. Generation Unlimited has started. It's focused on getting skills into the classroom so that you can learn from your device. The third thing we need to do is to get devices out to young people and to children so that they have a way to learn. So it isn't just that you're borrowing your father's cell phone. Your older brothers get to use it for their classwork and the younger sister doesn't get anything. So we've got to get devices out. We're asking ICT companies if they can zero rate, so it's no cost. It becomes affordable. If you are downloading educational material, that will be extremely important in this new world. And lastly, we're asking for lots of young people to come join us, be a GenU or a UNICEF volunteer so that you can help teach in a classroom, so that you can help teach young people online. They need foundational skills of reading and writing. They need soft skills like how to be an entrepreneur, how to make a presentation. They need digital skills and they need occupational skills. So young people can help out by teaching other young in these virtual classrooms. And Saran, you know UNICEF, so you can see what a huge resource we have if we can get young people teaching other young people. We can just raise the world up.
That's a beautiful image, and I love it. And yeah, as you know, I've worked with the youth in Burkina Faso in all these projects, and I can definitely imagine a world where young children are helping other young children to learn. I would like to know, how do we improve quality education and accessibility to digital learning for children and young people globally?
So the quality is going to be a function of the types of tools that we have. So sometimes you will be watching a television program or you'll be listening to a radio program. It's really easy to follow. You know just what to do and you're learning. Well, one area that we have now that can be extremely important for the future is artificial intelligence, because artificial intelligence means that a young person is able to talk to and connect with an artificial intelligence platform. So it knows when you're learning what you hope you're learning. So we're going to need this. There are not enough teachers in the world, but we're hoping that we can excite and energize a whole new generation of teachers among the young. And if they have these artificial intelligence tools, as they will have them this decade, they'll know if those children are learning and what they are learning. So the quality of learning means that a teacher can pay attention to a child, and that if you're a young person and you think, you know, I really didn't learn that, you can go back and you can try again to learn it. We're also looking at accreditation tools, Saran, and you're in London now, and one of the helps that we have reached out for is at the universities, if there could be a certification that you have learned something. So if, let's say, you're a refugee, you're in 5th grade, and you now are going to another country, could you go with a certification that you've completed 5th grade? If you have a course that you have just been doing on how to install solar panels, could you get a little certificate that would say that? All of that refers to quality, and it's something we can do now. It's something we can give young people. They can carry it if we can give them devices. They can carry it on their cell phone, and they'll carry it in their minds. And it will just allow them to move more freely in the world, whatever their situation.
And what do you think about access when it's not affordable? How can it be, how can it be made accessible and in terms of data and content?
So this is where private companies become really important. So the ICT companies who have joined us in Generation Unlimited, for example, are helping us in every possible way. They've also joined us in another initiative, GIGA, which is to connect every school, and they are helping us there. So private companies are helping with connecting every school and every household to the internet. They're helping with giving devices. So anyone out there who can help us gather devices for the poorest countries and the poorest populations of the countries, we really could use them. And then if the ICT companies join us and have zero rating for educational materials, they become affordable. We've got to be able to address no school fees, no cost with downloading curriculum materials, because if we can, then it means that, let's say you're a girl, you're at home, you're asked to do household chores, you can still get your learning materials at home if we can get you the connectivity and the device there. So it will change things if we can just go big enough and connect the whole world. We think now with lower satellites and with the fiber optic cable that we are at a moment in time, it's a once in a generation moment, that we can really connect the world with good quality education that young people will connect with, because part of it is getting a young mind curious enough and excited enough that they're going to learn something, and their parents agree that they're going to learn something online. So gamification is helpful. Make it into a game. Make sure that parents know how important school is and that they are encouraging it. And all of that will help us. It will help us educate the world.
And so you talked about ICT companies, and so how do you feel? Do you have partnership with some companies, and how do you feel that public and private sectors can do to support the Reimagine Education agenda?
Yes. So let me give you at least an opening list. So Ericsson has been helping us to map the schools in the world. We have now thousands mapped, but there are still more to go. And it's interesting. Governments don't always know all the schools that they have, but if you can't reach a school, it's hard to get support materials and education materials to the school. Microsoft with the Learning Passport. So this is a very interesting tool that we have developed with Microsoft and also with the University of Cambridge. And it allows you as a young person to carry your home curriculum with you in your home language. So it means that you can follow your coursework, and it's all on the Learning Passport. We're also putting in a skills passport so you can learn that. And I think this has enormous potential. It's a big global platform, and so this is something that countries, governments can institute. ARM, they are helping us in many, many ways across the world. PricewaterhouseCoopers, they've got a new program just coming out in India. They're helping everywhere, and they're on the GenU board as co-chairs. They are helping us in numerous ways. Sony, Unilever, and Unilever has been a partner of ours now for years and are on the Generation Unlimited board. All of these companies are tossing in what they can, and it's mentorships, it's apprenticeships, it's people who are in the companies who want to help by teaching in classes, who want to help by seconding someone, marketing programs. We have to convince people to want to get a modern education for the young of their country. And if we can do that, we will have done something very important. So Generation Unlimited is trying to reach 1.8 billion young people between the 10 and 24. Our Reimagine Education is to reach 3.5 billion in reimagining what education can look like, what it could be as a modern tool. And it's by 2030, 3.5 billion. So Saran, we need more businesses, more foundations, more friends, everyone we can find who would like to pitch in and help us. But it's a public-private partnership, and we could use help.
Thank you so much for this very important message. Do you have a last word? Because I know we need more people, we need more private and public sectors, but what else would you like us to know?
Well, come join us. Everyone has something they can do. You may think you don't have time or you don't have enough money and that this is too big a goal. But when you think of our world and what we could do to make it more equal and what we could do to help girls, it's education. It's the best ladder out of poverty. It's the greatest gift you can give a young person. So come join us.
Thank you very much. I'm just we have more time, so I just want to know if there are some comments or questions from the audience that we could take, because that's such an important topic, and we all know the importance of education, and I would say in certain parts of the world it's imminent. We really need to change these things and make sure that all children have access to education. So I'll just check.
Saran, while you're looking for people with thoughts, ideas, suggestions for us, I might mention something else that we sometimes forget. You know, we who are connected, and because we're all connected who are online today, we sort of forget what it's like if you do not have any connectivity. It really isolates you, and it isolates you from the rest of the world. You simply are not in the same world. You're seeing a different one. So with half of the world connected and the other half not connected, you just realize that the education that you are getting on a daily basis, what you hear about, what you see, what you learn, who you interact with, is just much smaller. So it's a great gift if you can encourage the young to be part of the world to come, their future, their world.
Thank you so much, and thank you very much for your time and your knowledge, and also this very, very important message to share with the world. It's an honor for me to have you. I loved my time at UNICEF, and I want to reiterate that, and it's a pleasure to talk to you today.
Thank you, Saran. It's a pleasure to talk to you, and keep up your good work that you're doing outside of UNICEF too.
Thank you.
Great stuff. Well, thank you. That was inspiring to hear you both talking, Henrietta. Amazing things you're doing, and all those companies who are you know, heavily involved in really trying to make a difference. Because you say it's getting, you're always saying, you know, it's like when you're doing exercise, it's just getting to the front door is the key here. So just getting people to start doing something, do something. It doesn't really matter what you do, just do something. You know? It makes all the difference. And I know in my time at Cisco, we got a lot involved in many things with UNICEF over the years, and hopefully they're still doing some things with you. I don't know, but if they're not, I'll chase them up and find out why not. But Saran, thank you for that. I think we're you know, coming to the end of our day here, and it's been a wonderful way to finish, an inspiring way to finish, and I think a real call to action as well. I think to say, you know, let's get on and do something here, and particularly for young women who are so vulnerable. And we've seen such a challenge here. I mean, in the UK, it's been very visible, but I know all around the world, you know, the challenge of those who are digitally excluded, and if anything, more digitally excluded than they were in the past, not just because they haven't been able to get access, but actually it's so vital now for everything, for benefits claiming, or for even the most vulnerable were the people who were the most at risk from COVID. So they were the ones who had to, the most vulnerable were the ones who were most digitally excluded. So they were having to leave the house to do their shopping. They were the ones who were having to, you know, to go and book appointments physically rather than virtually. And, you know, it really exacerbated the whole situation. So I think it's really important that we continue to focus in and use this opportunity now to bring the focus so that we can, you know, improve things, you know, much more than we can. And it's great to hear you've got a lot of good support, and I'm sure you'll get lots more. But thank you very much for your time today, and enjoy the rest of your day for you, Henrietta, I guess, an evening for us. Thanks very much.
Very good. Thank you.